So I've been trying to get us on stage together for years now, but you know, Snap was going through. Hello? Hello?
You want the mic?
So I was saying that I've been trying to get you on stage with me for years now. Things were a little tumultuous at Snap in the meantime, so I understand why, but things have gotten a lot better. You know, now suddenly Snap share price has gone from $5 to $15 in the last year. And, you know, entrepreneurship can be a struggle, but maybe you could tell the founders in our crowd, you know, what was it like to be at your lowest moments? Maybe both in the early days of Snap and in the last year when the share price wasn't doing so well. And how did you persevere so that they know that they can stick through it no matter what happens?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's definitely way easier now. We've got an amazing team. Obviously, I think we just celebrated our 8th birthday. So, you know, I think our business is much more capable today than when we just started. And Bobby and I, actually, our first project together was called Future Freshman, which was a website to help people apply to college that absolutely nobody used, except for my mom. And this was a bit painful because both of our younger siblings were applying to college at the time, so we figured at least they'd use it and try it out, and they weren't interested either. So I think some of the harder moments, you know, were really in the beginning when Bobby and I, you know, we just loved working together and, you know, really enjoyed building stuff, but the stuff we were building, no one really cared about. So I think that those are sort of the harder moments. And
could you guys give us the first slide up on the screen, just to show you what it was really like for Snapchat this year? It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so I definitely think you know, being a public company with a big team is a lot easier than working out of my dad's house. So definitely excited about the progress that we've made.
But you know, at the share price lowest, you know, when employees are distracted, press is going against you, like what do you do to make sure you get up every morning with the same passion and optimism?
I mean, we just love what we do. We don't do it for the share price. We do it because we're really excited to build a product that we think makes a difference in people's lives. And I think that is just a huge privilege for our team. And that's what inspires us. And there are some people, you know, when the going gets tough, you really have to sit there and think about, you know, what you're doing, if this is something that you really believe in. And so I think that was actually a really great thing for our team to go through, because the people that are at Snap today have been through that, and they know that they're at Snap for the right reasons. They really want to build a business that makes a difference.
All right, if we can get the next slide up. So Spectacles 3, the new version, they're more expensive. You're making fewer of them. It kind of seems like you're biding your time until augmented reality technology is really ready for the mainstream. What is the strategy here?
Well, spectacles represent really a long-term investment in augmented reality hardware. So I think it'll be roughly, let's call it 10 years before there's a consumer product with a display that could be really widely adopted. But in the meantime, we've built a relationship with our community and all these people who love building experiences in augmented reality, and we're sort of working our way towards that future. And rather than sort of go in a hole or in an R&D center or something and try to make something that people like and then show them 10 years later, we've sort of created a relationship with our community where we build that future together. So I think what's really cool about Spectacles 3 is that for the first time we have depth capability, and if you're using Lens Studio, which are our tools for building augmented reality experiences, you can build AR directly for that Spectacles content in 3D using our depth technology. And so that's sort of an iterative step towards this AR future, and what's exciting is that we get to do that together with our community.
So building for 10 years before you can really sell anything sounds super expensive. How do you outspend companies like Apple that are trying to build their way there as well?
Well, I don't necessarily think outspending is a strategy that works over a long period of time. So we've taken a little bit of a different approach when it comes to augmented reality, and that's by starting today with the tools that we have. So today, you know, we have an application that opens right into the camera. We've got, you know, what, 200 some million people using our camera every day, and as part of that, we have all these AR tools and ways to express yourself, and we have this platform with Lens Studio, so anyone in the world can build an AR experience and deploy it immediately to our community. So I think to date, like, you know, there have been 500,000 plus lenses created by our community, and so by seeding that experience, even though today AR is experienced this tiny little screen on your phone, seeding that today and getting that community going means that by the time the hardware gets there 10 years from now, you know, we'll have a thriving ecosystem of experiences that people can enjoy.
So maybe it's not necessarily about outspending them, but just being able to iterate your way there. And as much money as Apple has, it doesn't have a social app that's successful.
Well, they've got iMessage, which I think is a pretty big hit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you consider that, but it seems so utilitarian compared to the kind of messaging products you build. So speaking of truly social products, TikTok's remixable, storyboarded social entertainment is increasingly competing attention with more biographical, spontaneous content like Snapchat stories. Why didn't you invent that remix feature?
Well, I think at a high level, if you look at TikTok and other products that focus more on what I think we would call premium user-generated content, they do represent sort of a shift towards evolving consumer tastes. So as you mentioned, a lot of UGC today really revolves around content that your friends make, people who you really care about make, and that's why it's good. That's why it's important, not because it looks really beautiful or it has a perfect storyline. The reason why the content from your friends resonates with you is because they're your friends. And we're sort of on this, I think, journey as consumer tastes evolve, and that content created by your friends is always going to be really important. But as content gets better and better on mobile, consumers are going to want experiences that have a better narrative, or more high quality, have maybe better actors or things like that. And so if you look at where Snap is investing, we're investing on making great experiences for your friends to express themselves and for you to enjoy that content. And also on the premium side, we have things like shows that are starting to elevate mobile storytelling. We're investing a lot in producing content that's really compelling and is full screen and vertical. And so I think what you're describing with TikTok sort of sits somewhere in the middle. It's that it's on that evolution from content created by your friends to really premium content.
So you're saying that the user taste is shifting in this direction. If you guys could put up the TikTok slide. But between Snapchat Stories, which is really on that biographical friend side, and the shows, which is really more like publishers and very premium, or maybe celebrities and big public figures, how do you guys compete in the middle, which is that more storyboarded, user-generated content? If you guys could show that TikTok slide.
Well, I think at a high level, we don't need to compete there to be successful. So today, because the content from your friends is so compelling, and because talking to your friends makes you feel good, people come into our service, and then we can show other great premium content from our publishers or shows or things like that. So I do think this area around influencer content or premium UGC content like TikTok is an area where we haven't invested as much. It's something that we'd consider in the future, but for us, we've focused primarily on building experiences for the people who are your real friends, and also premium publishers.
Okay, so let's talk about another big social app you guys might be friends with, Instagram. So yesterday, Instagram launched Threads. Maybe we could show that slide. And they're basically trying to steal messaging from Snapchat. What do you think about Threads and this whole idea of auto status, where they show that you're at your home or you're at a cafe, but they don't show the exact location like you guys do with Snap Map?
Honestly, I haven't had a chance to test drive it yet, so I'm not sure about the status feature. But we just continue to innovate for our community, build products that we think really resonate with them, and I think that'll continue to be our strategy going forward.
Why do you guys build with a focus on location in Snap Map? Because I think location can feel a little bit creepy at times, and I personally don't always want everybody to know where I am. And over time, while Snapchat started as being really just for my closest friends, it's grown increasingly a wider social graph with people that maybe aren't my closest people, and sharing my location with them feels a little bit extreme.
Yeah, I agree with you. I personally don't like sharing my location with everyone. I don't think I'd do that. But I think what's really exciting about Snapchat is that, of course, location sharing is off by default. And if you want to opt into location sharing, you can pick exactly who you share your location with. And for me and my wife, this is extremely useful because she can see how far I am on my way home. And I think that saves us some of the friction around communicating, which is like, where are you? When are you going to be home? Which is not necessarily fulfilling. And so I think that sort of utility can be provided by Maps. But I think beyond that, as you look at sort of the future of Maps and where they're going, this idea of a more personal map experience seems very obvious to us. And I think when you look at maps today, if you and I both open, Apple Maps or Google Maps, for example, we both have the same map. And that's weird because we live different lives, we live in different places, we have different friends. And so we imagine a future where the map is more personal for you. And I think that starts with, having your friends, because that's part of your personal life.
Are we going to see Snapchat and Google Maps team up?
I never say never.
Okay, so you guys have continued to be copied by things like Instagram. Can you show that Threads and Spectacles slide? So this is the new logo for Threads. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, what do you say to things like this?
I haven't actually seen them side by side before. That's nice. I'd say nice logo.
Okay. Very dignified. Golf clap. So one strategy with competing with Facebook for you guys has been the developer ecosystem, and that's something that's gone pretty well. Can you tell us what's been up with Snapchat or Snapchat SnapKit? It's a platform for letting you log in with Snapchat and to other apps and send content back to Snapchat.
Yeah, so actually I was walking around a little bit earlier outside, and I bumped into someone who'd made some geo-filters for Snapchat, way back in the day, and their geo-filters, I guess, over time had amassed over 10 million views, so I got to hear that story. And I think if you look at the way that Snapchat has evolved over time, we've sort of increased the opportunities for people to partner with us and to express themselves and to grow their businesses using Snapchat. So it started with things like geo-filters, and now today, we're integrated, I think, with more than 450 applications, and I think last month, 100 million Snapchatters interacted with SnapKit content, or like Bitmoji, or things like Creative Kit. So I think that that platform has grown pretty significantly. And as you mentioned, we also have a gaming platform, we have an augmented reality platform, we have a content platform. And so I think what we've seen is that by providing tools to really creative people and by helping people grow their business, we can create these win-win-win partnerships that also help Snap grow.
And so how's the platform doing quantifiably? Like, how many apps do you guys have? How many users are using SnapKit?
So we're integrated with over 450 applications, and over 100 million Snapchatters last month have interacted with our SnapKit partners, their content, things like that.
That's pretty impressive. That's like half of the Snapchat users, or half of the daily users at least, even though that's over a monthly time period.
Yep.
So one of the things that I think is really fascinating about SnapKit is it focuses really deeply on privacy, which is so different than the other developer ecosystems out there. Given the Cambridge Analytica scandal and Facebook now saying they have to remove hundreds of apps that were violating their rules, how do you exploit the creepiness of other platforms through your own sort of sense of privacy?
Well, I think for us, from the beginning, privacy is something that we cared a lot about, right? We pioneered things like ephemeral messaging. I remember, when we told people, hey, we're not going to collect data like your ethnicity or something to target ads. That was pretty radical at the time, and people were worried if we'd be able to build a business, right? And instead, I think, because we viewed privacy as a real advantage for us, we invested a lot in innovating there. And so I think, one example is SnapKit. Another example is the way that we can do distributed machine learning without basically huge amounts of personal user data being uploaded to the cloud. And so I think as you look over time, we always are finding more opportunities to innovate and provide better, higher quality and privacy protective experiences to our community. And I think now what's really great is that our partners are seeing how valuable that can be. And so they're also looking for partnered solutions that protect user privacy. So I think now, given how much the industry has evolved over the last 8 years, it really works for everybody.
Okay, so we've seen that there's a much bigger emphasis on well-being in social media recently, and I think that's very positive, this concept of time well spent. And while you guys have never had likes, Facebook and Instagram are now hiding their like counts, but you guys still have streaks. And so you've made streaks a little bit less prominent, less easy to filter to see them, but you still reward people for constant interaction, messaging back and forth with a friend every single day. You reward them with this little emoji. Can you guys show the streaks image? So tell me, are streaks healthy?
Well, taking a step back, one of the things is we look at mental health, right? The #1 predictor of enduring a depressive event is having close friendships. So if you have real friendships with people that are close to you that can support you, it's much easier to bounce back from something bad happening in your life. And so I think
I hear that, but at the same time, what's going on in streaks is not always true deep connection. These are people sending an image that's just like a random photo with the word streak ? To their friend, hoping they'll send one back so they can keep that streak going. You know, you've seen these images before. Like, is that really healthy?
Well, we've studied this obviously extensively, and we talk to our community about the way that they use streaks. And actually, I very frequently get letters from people who will tell stories like, we just hit 1,000 days snapping back and forth. We've been through a divorce. My friend had a kid. One of us graduated from college. And actually, this represents the fact that through all of that, we talk to each other every day. And so I'm sure you're going to be able to find examples of when someone sends a message just to maintain their streak. But I think for a lot of people, this idea of rewarding that deep friendship, rewarding this idea of communicating back and forth every day is actually very enriching. And it's very different than this idea of competing with friends to look cooler, look prettier, be more popular. So I definitely think that streaks are constructed in a way to reward the behaviors that really make Snap special.
Do you think like counts really are just people competing to be more popular and look prettier?
I think at a really high level, looking back at the evolution of social media, the idea was that providing positive feedback for users posting content and creating a competition would incentivize people to make more content, which therefore would create more advertising and inventory for feed-based social media products. So in that sense, I think likes have worked quite well. I think they play to people's desire to want to be appreciated. And so I think the challenge has become, right, when people have confused their social media friends for real friends. Actually, I'm sure you've seen this, but the Merriam-Webster dictionary is now updated so that when you look up friend in the dictionary, it says social media connection as one of the definitions. And I think that, to me, represents the challenge we face in our society because, look, there are always going to be, networking connections, people we don't know very well but still add value to our lives. But I think it's those deep relationships with the people that you really care about that can make a difference.
And so I want to talk a little bit more about health and wellness. We talked about it in the form of social media, but your wife, Miranda Kerr, recently said in an interview that we have stickers that we put on the back of our phones for radiation, and I have an EMF detector that picks up waves in the air. The World Health Organization has said that there's no evidence of harm from normal EMF exposure. So do you think that typical EMF exposure is harmful?
You're trying to shade my wife in an interview?
No, I'm just asking your opinion because that's what she told us, or that's what she told the magazine. So just want to ask, what do you think about EMF?
I haven't had an opportunity to look into it, but if you're married, which I think you are, you probably understand how you want to support your partner and everything that they believe.
Do you have it? I feel that. My wife is somewhere in the front row here, so I feel that. But do you have a sticker on the back of your phone?
No sticker.
Okay, cool. All right. So maybe not believing in it wholeheartedly.
Why don't we make a deal? I won't make fun of your wife on stage, and you won't make fun of mine.
Well, good luck with that. My wife is super cool, way cooler than me. Okay, so let's talk about a lighter topic. Do you think breaking up Facebook would benefit society?
It's really hard to say. I think the things that would benefit society are real product changes that they would make to their platform. And I think, the thing that everyone's concerned about is that they've seen that competition has been what has motivated Facebook to make those changes over time. So if you look at, Snapchat, the inventions that we created around ephemerality, around privacy, those have really motivated Facebook to dramatically change their product offering in order to compete. And so I think what everyone is concerned about when they talk about antitrust is not competition. They want to promote positive competition. But I think what everyone is concerned about is what they would characterize as anti-competitive practices. So for example, people upload snaps they create on Snapchat to Instagram all the time. And then Instagram suppresses, the Snapchat hashtag, or, they suppress people's ability to post snap codes as their profile picture, or suppress their ability to link to Snapchat on their profile. And that's an example of anti-competitive behavior. So I think the challenge is, finding the right balance, encouraging competition, encouraging people like Facebook to compete by, maybe even copying our products, because that's better for consumers. But I think as we look at antitrust, what we're talking about is not competition. We're talking specifically about anti-competitive behaviors.
And do you think breaking them up would, making Facebook compete against Instagram would help in that respect?
It's really hard to say. I mean, the history of antitrust would basically say that, these investigations last 7 to 10 years or something like that, and that basically nothing happens. So I'm not totally sure. I'm not a regulator, but I think a lot can change in the 7 to 10 years that this process will take.
So you guys had this dossier, this Project Voldemort, which was talking about all the ways that Facebook had made anti-competitive behaviors. I'm not going to ask about exactly what was in it, but why did you make that?
I didn't make it. Our legal team put it together. I think just because they kept hearing from our partners all of these things that Facebook was doing, and it was actually so many that people couldn't actually remember them all, so they started writing them down. But that was many years ago, so it's hard to say specifically.
Do you think that they continue to suppress your guys' content?
It's hard to say, and I'd probably be stupid to talk about it here.
I'm waiting. Okay. So finally, let's just talk a little bit about, Snapchat has done a lot better recently, and that means you've grown a lot as well. And you've given some advice to other entrepreneurs. Recently, your advice was don't go public. What did you mean by that?
I thought that was pretty straightforward.
Do you guys think you went to public too early, or what?
Look, I think the process of going public is actually an incredibly important process for a business, and I think it brings a lot of discipline, but it's really challenging. And I think one of the things that you're seeing today is that given, I guess what I would call the risk-free rate of capital, given the fact that it's been suppressed for so long, I think businesses have been built taking advantage of the fact that money is fairly inexpensive. And I think it can be challenging to grow a business with capital that's not very expensive and transition into a public market that has a very different set of metrics, frankly, and that is looking for a business that can scale really durably over time. And so I think we had to prove that to the market. And I don't think there's any shortcuts. You have to build trust through execution and by explaining to people what you're trying to do and then doing it. So for example, last year we launched a redesign that we thought was really important for our community. And we talked about what we were going to do. We said there's going to be a short-term negative impact, we think. And sure enough, there was. But now, I guess fast forward a year or so, it's really clear that that has a positive impact on our business. And so I think just going through events like that help build trust with the investors that really are counting on you to grow your business and grow their investment.
But why say don't go public if you say it's so good for companies to learn that transition?
I was trying to make a joke.
Okay. So lastly, you make a lot of mistakes when you're a public company, when you're doing your first time in this kind of seat, but you've obviously grown so much, and at least the share price has. So what's the biggest mistake that you used to make that you don't make anymore?
I think the biggest thing that's changed as a business is really the way that we run the different areas of our business. And what I mean by that is before, I think our organization was a little more hierarchical. So the company was really small and that worked pretty well. And I could meet with one of our team members and they could sort of pass on the message and collaborate with the team. And I think what I noticed over time is as the company got bigger, that sort of game of telephone is extremely inefficient and you actually don't benefit from all the amazing perspectives on the team. So now today, if we have a meeting with our comms team or our marketing team or something like that, we just bring the whole team together and hash out the issues. And I think that's been a lot more effective at running the business efficiently and also getting everyone's perspective.
That's awesome. So to quickly recap some of the great insights from Evan, he thinks that it might be 10 years till we have a consumer AR glasses product, but by building iteratively for the screen that we have now, Snapchat might be able to defeat the big spenders like Apple. And that, as the content in our world shifts from being purely biographical to this more social entertainment, there's opportunities for you guys to invest there, and I hope to see more of that and Discover. And on terms of being copied, at least, well, it might be the same thing that Facebook has built for 10 years running since Poke. At least you think they have a nice logo, right? And as you guys look forward with Snapkit, you guys now have 100 million users on Snapkit. But with Streaks, you're not necessarily just trying to gamify friendship. You're trying to reward friendship and make sure people have those close connections. But I think we all need to look a little bit deeper about what's growth hacking and what's actually good for people. Because as you said, people confuse their social media friends for real friends. And I hope people don't confuse their streak friends for real friends. And while you might not be sure about whether these EMF waves are really dangerous, the fact is that there's still a lot of things that are harming people in social media, and suppressing other people's content like you think Facebook has done to you guys in the past, and creating competition or lacking competition that spurs that kind of change is really important. So we need more of that competition, whether that's a breakup or not. It just matters about, is there better competition to force better features for users? And as you've said about the late stage market, the risk-free capital makes it really tough to grow a sustainable business, and you need to learn how to transition. So hopefully those markets will come back into focus, and people will be a little bit more disciplined about handing out their money. But really, when it comes down to it for entrepreneurs, if you're going to get through those struggles and you're going to go from $5 to $15 or from nothing to this stage, you just got to build what you love. Thanks a lot, Evan.